All right, should all be good. Just make sure. Let me make sure. Scoring, waiting for scoring. Should be all good to go. Oh yeah, we are. All right. How you guys doing? Sorry that things have just been delayed today. I know normally I go earlier on Sundays. At least the Coke 600 is at 6 p.m. tonight. Um, so it's not too drastically crazy. If you're listening to this on replay, you have plenty of time to listen to it and everything. So when we're looking at the Coke 600, what I'm specifically going to do or focus on is just looking at the people who actually here. Let me bring this up on screen. Let's bring up. Looks like a recent form. Let me bring this up. Also, due to the fact that we might have more people watching, there's no subscriber only mode today. So like, feel free to type in whatever dumb things you guys want. I'll handle that as it comes along. As I'm looking at where these guys are in recent form, and let's go ahead and get the starting grid here as well. So first off, I did see a place differential comment in chat, which for me, I'm specifically probably let's go ahead and remove Darlington here. I am. Who did I take? I take drivers. Okay, I didn't. I am. Oh man. I am going to prioritize lap leaders and not place differential in this race at all. So I'm going to have very little interest in Brad Keselowski, very little interest in Chris Buescher. The people that I'm going to be chasing should be pretty fair and obvious. I mean, I think Truex Jr. is mispriced at 95. Ty Gibbs at 83 starting first. We've clearly seen the ability to be there. Now, he has disappointed in other aspects or in other situations, in other times where I've wanted to be aggressive on him or play him or whatnot. But he's starting first, 8,300, like number one pit stall, which is going to be huge. Also, I haven't watched anything that happened yesterday. I have no idea. Haven't pulled any data. Haven't pulled any CSVs from the Xfinity Series race. I have no idea what happened. I have not seen any of that at all. Also, personally didn't see qualifying, didn't see practice. Okay, so just rolling off of whatever the data is showing and where these guys end up queuing. So just being upfront there. If something happened in that time frame, I'm not aware of that. But I like Ty Gibbs. When we're trying to focus, like Ty Gibbs, William Byron starting second, Truex starting fourth. I mean, I can't think of a better slate to be me of like the guys I've been trying to get to and play and wanting to get to and stuff. I'm running stuff on SaberSim right now to see where projections end up falling out. Also, with like the Kyle Larson questions, is he going to race? Is he not going to race? What do you do? Like, if he's not racing, you clearly don't play the guy. Like, I think that, like, who cares? Why is that a area of discussion? Clearly, like, if Larson is not going to make the race, don't play Larson. Like, I think that's where it's at. Like, I don't want to even talk about Larson potentially missing or whatever. Frankly, I hope he misses it. I would love that. Please mess up the double for Larson. If we're not going to kill him and send him into the pylon or flip him over, at least let him mess up the double. I think that'd be fantastic. But when I'm looking at my guys that are, whether you have my ownership or not, if we're clearly chasing lap leaders and guys up front, I mean, Larson is up there. So clearly, like, if Larson isn't in the race, don't play Larson. But right now, I have Larson as probably my third to fourth highest owned guy. But it's going to primarily be chasing the guys we talked about entering this week, just because it ended up being to where we can afford them with who we want to play. Like, I liked Bubba Wallace at 77. He's starting 12th, 7,700 in a race that I think we're going to see the Toyotas probably be better. And certainly it's encouraging to see what Bubba did last weekend at Darlington. It's encouraging to see what Reddick did at Darlington last week, specifically coming off of the disappointing run at Kansas, the less than stellar run at Dover, the disappointing factor at Texas to where everybody expected him to do better than what he did. 2311's showing up. So Reddick and Bubba Wallace, like I said, I'm not prioritizing place differential. So like, oh, what are you doing with Keselowski 87? What are you doing with Chris Buescher 85? I'm not playing them. I'm paying up for the guys up front. I'm paying up for guys who I think can be up there and contend for the win. Even like somebody like Kyle Busch, like, look, this is like a 6-hour race, my guys. It's 400 laps. This is not a typical, we need a 1 lap leader, 2 lap leader. Like, I think we're gonna have a lot of yellows, which we have seen in this next gen car here at Charlotte. I think we're gonna have a lot of lap leaders and people scraping off fast laps, specifically scraping off fast laps. Like, I don't see situations to where the leader is also getting that 1-to-1 fast lap um, at all. Are you talking about me, Sterling, or you? Because I had the second highest F1 lineup. Like, whatever happened. That's what happens when you have, stupid Haas guys. It's like, what? Dude, get K-Mag out of here, my guy. Can we just suspend him? What is this clown doing? He takes out Checo and his own teammate. Like, what a bunch of morons. And then Ocon, like, dude, these F1 drivers are a bunch of morons, absolute idiots. I don't know why these are the pinnacle of the racing sphere. It makes no sense at all. Let me go ahead. Okay, yeah, so I am showing that. So, like, what are my lineups doing? As I said, if I'm trying to get as many lap leaders as possible, Ty Gibbs is practically a free square. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Today is gonna live and die on Ty Gibbs. There's absolutely no way if he performs poorly that I have a decent day. Him at 83 is like an absolute concrete structure in my lineups. I think I just play him and move on. I automatically get the pole sitter. I automatically get the number 1 pit stall at $8,300. Like, that is what I'm building. Like, I'm building with him in mind, just moving forward. Like, I doubt I'm not going to have a ton of Ty Gibbs today. But past that, in the value range, let's see where are we at in the value. I'm kind of, yet again, per usual, just kind of playing whoever I end up getting to. Now, you got to remember that I don't have the. Let's put the grid numbers on here for you fellas. So when we're looking at a race that has had many yellows, that has had multiple guys run into issues, multiple guys get caught laps down or be involved in wrecks. Let's get this right here. Okay, so who's in play? Okay, guys in the back of the field are very much in play as a value. Personally, for me, Ty Dillon, BJ McLeod would be the priorities down there. But even a situation like Kaz Grala starting, 33rd. Now, I mean, part of me is even interested in Justin Haley as well, because we have seen Haley like have true raw speed at this point. Like, we can see in situations where he get top 20s. But when you're looking at the fact that we're probably going to have probably 29 cars finish this race, I would assume somewhere in that range. Over 6 hours, we get some wrecks, we get some mechanical failures, whatever happens, somebody blows a tire. I think we have 29, 28 cars finish this race. And so by default, that gives Ty Dillon, BJ, Shane, Todd Gillen, like, it gives all these guys like 6-7 place differential plays. Like, even JJ Yaley, $5,100, like, certainly not a fantastic play, and the equipment is certainly a concern. But with the fact that how this race has panned out, I think the entire value range is in play, and specifically the Grala, Gillen 65, BJ, even Shane at 55, Ty Dillon. Like, every one of my lineups will have probably one of these guys, and if I had to prioritize them, it would probably be Ty Dillon, BJ, probably Shane over Kaz Grala. But if you need that $200 savings from SVG to Kaz, like, that's how you should go. And so Ty Gibbs, one of these fellas, that's how I'm approaching the race. Like, that is absolutely the approach. Past that, I'm spreading stuff out. I really like the potential fast laps that you can get from, and lap sled that you can get from Byron, that you can get from Truex. Bowman is up there. We've seen Bowman on an uptick, and we've seen him be more consistent and be closer to what the rest of the Hendrick guys are doing. And so him starting $7,800, like, this isn't a situation of like, oh, Bowman needs to go out there and kill the field. If Bowman just scrapes off his 2 to 3 to 4% of fast laps in the race, I mean, that can work at $7,800. If he's doing that, he's most likely running top 10. He's in play. Chastain, 82. Reddick, 97. And so, as I said, I am not chasing place differential at all in this race. Okay. And so, if this is do you chase PD? Do you chase lap leaders? I'm absolutely trying to jam in as many people up front as possible in this race. Not to maintain the running position up front, but because I think they are able to get those fast laps and laps led in this race. Also, might be live for like another 20 minutes and stuff. I'm pretty busy this week, so I do apologize for that. Also, I'm out of town next week. Projections will still be up for those that haven't heard that news, but I'll be in Dallas from Thursday to Monday. So I'll get gateway videos probably out Tuesday or Wednesday. Um, Live streams, I don't know if I'm going to do them or not. If I might do a video uh, for the Cup Series, but I'm not entirely sure yet. In the hotel in Dallas, but past that, like projection will still be up, but I won't be live next week. So I've been trying to get a lot of stuff done in regards to that. Um, Double punt thoughts. I don't really want to do that, Sterling. So like if you're having to do that, let me see. Also, like Denny Hamlin's another great play. Like I've not mentioned Denny Hamlin yet at all. Like my favorites to be a top 5 contender and possibly win this race would be Gibbs, Byron, Truex, Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Larson. I think those are clearly the top 5 cars. When you look at where they're at in terms of salaries, we're very easily able to get 2 of those. If you're including Gibbs in that, it's you got a real chance of getting 3 of them. Like I think you get. Let's get Bowman unlisted here, but I think you really try and get 3 of these guys in your lineups. I just think Ty Gibbs is like, you know, the center of everything, man. 83, like people wanted to play him earlier in the year. Like he has had speed. Like I'm more than willing to die on Ty Dillon today. But I don't think you need to necessarily double punt, Sterling. I really don't. Like if you just take one 5K guy with 3 of these fellas, you're right at like $7,800, $8,300. Like you're not needing to double punt specifically. I mean, if you do double punt, I would assume that you're taking like a true value and then Shane at 55. So I guess that double punt in that case would work out. But I don't think you need to specifically look at it as like you need a double punt or something in that range. Let me see what else. Yeah, I'm assuming other people are either live right now or like yet again I didn't promote the show at all, so I do apologize that we only have like 45 people watching right now, versus like the usual like 120 and stuff. But yeah, dude, I just think you got to focus on the guys up front, and it's not straightforward, because it's such a long race, 400 laps. But like this is where, like when you look at variance and the distribution of how people do it, like in a race. Okay, when we're looking at a race that's like 267 laps, if you have a good first quarter of the race, you struggle through like quarter 2 and 3, and then you kind of come back in quarter 4. Like if you start second or whatever, struggle, have a bad pit stall, fall like 8th, 10th, crawl all day, and get back to like 4th at the end of the day. Like, yeah, sure, you haven't been able to get those fast laps or laps that you may have had, but like, dude, it's 400 laps. We have 4 guaranteed yellows. Okay, 3 stages, 1 yellow at least, 4 guaranteed yellows. That's 4 restarts. We're probably gonna have more. Probably looking in a range of possibly, I'd probably say in the range of like 8 to 12 restarts, 8 to 12 yellows. Okay, and so that is going to help lower, or not lower. That'll help the distribution of like how people should perform. I know I'm bringing up Counter-Strike here, but like the change from MR15 to MR12 with the less rounds that CS2 has now compared to CS:GO, like it's much harder for like the best players to consistently be the highest scoring individual on a team because there's just less rounds. When you had more rounds, well then, that takes care of the variance to where like, okay, sure, you have some bad rounds, but like the game is long enough to where you end up being the highest scoring driver. Same thing here with the more laps. It basically helps counterbalance the variance that you would have if you have a bad run on tires, if you have a bad pit road strategy, if you have just a bad run. Well, you have more time to possibly drive back up and be a top 5 driver and get those fast laps and laps led. And so, yet again, for me, like, okay, if I'm wrong on Keselowski and he goes out and wins the race, same thing with Chris Buescher. But even just looking at these at the practice laps, like, like there's a reason Buescher's last. Didn't run a lot of laps. Yet again, Byron didn't run. I'm assuming he ran into an issue. Frankly, if it's Hendrick, I'm not very concerned about it at all. But like same thing with Keselowski. Like clearly they are not happy with their cars. Okay, so like I just can't see the need to take the risk of like, okay, I need to play Brad, I need to play Buescher and sacrifice 1 or possibly 2 positions in your lineup versus guys who are actually going to run fast. Like it's crazy that, Hamlin and Keselowski have like, the same average time when, Hamlin just ran super long. Like these guys are all understanding what they need to do in this race. We look at Noah expecting to run long. We look at Nemechek running long. We look at Blaney running long. Like most teams, if you were at least somewhat competent, you're running more than 20 laps in practice. Okay. This situation of like Buescher, Keselowski, like when you're running that few amount of laps, like that's concerning. Okay. You could argue, why am I not saying the same thing with Byron? I mean, clearly it's an issue they had in practice, went out there, start second. Where has he been in these races? Like, everybody knows where I was at with Byron, if I can spell his name correctly. Everybody knows where Byron's at. Like, this is nothing out of like, yeah, sure, bad practice, ran into an issue, ran a few laps. Well, this is where Byron falls in line at. Okay. This is where Truex falls in line at. Like, why would I not be playing these guys who have shown us consistent speeds and consistent times in top 5 when they're at a discounted price, when they're starting up front in a race that's 4 hours long, or 4, 5, 6 hours long, in a race that's 400 laps, in a race that's going to have 12 restarts? Like that helps, give chances for multiple of these good drivers to take the lead on pit lane, to take the lead on a restart or something like that. So that's where I'm at. Man, it's a shame that Chad is not here. I gotta assume other people are live right now. I mean, that's mainly it. Sheets' projections are up. My projections are up. Let me see if I got any like wild opinions here or something. Let's see. I would probably hesitate on playing more than probably 4 people inside the top 11. Like if you run into a situation where you're like Gibbs, Truex, Larson, and like Chastain, like that's not necessarily what I want to do. I probably limit it to 3. If I'm getting 4 of those, I'm probably not going to be playing those lines. Let's see, what else? What else am I seeing here? I just think this is a race to where I think it's very much worth not playing the place differential, and using that as a baseline to get different, like right off the bat. Because if Keselowski comes in around like anywhere from 25 to 35, like that's a lot. That's a lot of laps I don't want to deal with. Let's see where. Like Saberson has Buescher as the highest owned guy. Like that's just that I can't imagine that that's the case. Is it like, why are we paying 85 for Buescher starting last? I know, floor is anywhere from like 48, 47 points. Ceiling is way higher, but like this is a decision that doesn't have an impact at the start of the race. Stage 1, start of the race, it's Buescher optimal. Stage 2, Buescher optimal. Stage 3, Buescher optimal. Stage 4, lap 345, Buescher's optimal. Okay. Buescher doesn't get forced out of the optimal lineup until like the last 50 laps of the race. Like that's what I'm building around and being aware of. Like I'm building for that stage 4. We've had enough lap leaders. We've had enough people score in the 40s and 50s to potentially push Buescher out of being in the optimal lineup. So like that's why I'm not playing Buescher. That's why I'm not going to play Keselowski, and just chase the guys up front, man. That's where I'm at. That's probably my approach today. Let's see. Didn't Buescher tire blow? I have no idea. No clue. I haven't been here. Wasn't even home yesterday. No idea. I'm just looking at things from a game cruise. Like F1 this morning, woke up at like 6 o'clock, didn't know anything, didn't know what happened in Q, didn't know anything. Just build based on numbers. I'm just looking at analytics at this point. And like that's where I'm at today. Mainly because I'm just doing so much. Thank God the Indy 500 got delayed. Holy hell. I'm so glad it's not starting at noon, because I would probably have missed a lot of the Indy 500 today. Yeah, I'm probably not going to play Buescher. And that's my own approach, like separate from my own projections. Like, when you look at my own projections, I have Buescher for 43.15 points today. Like full disclosure, that's what I have projected for. I have Keselowski at 47.6. Okay, so like those are my projections. It's telling me to play Buescher. It's telling me to play Keselowski in my stuff. I'm just taking the stance that I'm just not going to do that and play the game theory stance of building different from that, getting off of those types of builds and not even dealing with that type of lineup construction. That's where I'm at. And yet again, I think it's going to be something that's going to be determined primarily in stage 4. I think we're going to see a lot of lineups that have Brad and or Chris in them that are going to be scoring well. That'll probably be up top in the contest and probably be winning the contest for a majority of the race. Once Buescher and Keselowski probably break the top 18, we're going to see those Brad and Buescher lineups dominating the top of these tournaments and stuff. And yet again, I'm just building for the end of the race where I think we can, or at least I think I can construct a lineup that's going to outscore them or price them out in the contest. That's where I'm at. Who your punt plays? So, okay, I did mention this, but like we have Shane, BJ, Ty Dillon, Yaley, and Kaz Gralla all in play. The fact that we're probably going to have 29 cars finish this race due to the volatility of NASCAR lately, of where these guys are wrecking, how much they're wrecking. Like all the guys in the back of the field have the potential to pass 6, 7, 8 cars. And when you're at or near $5,000, you just need to get near 25 points. Even if you're scoring 24, 23, you have a very high likelihood of working into, high scoring lineups because like you just needed to pay down at in the value range to fit in everybody else who's scoring well. And so I would prioritize value range in the 30s. That's where I'm at. And I don't think, just speaking out loud, I don't think I'm going to be in the 6K range at all today. Let me look through my stuff to see if I'm in the 6K range at all, because I got a feeling I'm not going to be there in any main lineups. Like I do have some like random Austin Dillons, random Nemecheks popping in there, but I would advise to not play anybody in the 6K range. I think if your lineup is landing in that range, personally, I would probably rebuild. Like that is, build wise, construction wise, I do not want to play anybody in the 6K range. I don't want to be in a situation where I could get to that. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm like landing as last guy in. I would build specifically to not land in any of the 6K range today, because I want to have, and like so I'm doing that plus not playing Keselowski and not playing Buescher. Like that's my approach. That's how I'm going to get different. Yet again, as I say in all these videos, we're taking each slate on a slate by slate basis. We're not looking at least you shouldn't be, as a DFS player, you shouldn't be looking at, what is your ROI week over week? How do you do? Like, are you able to cash each week? No, it's not that. We're chasing the top of the contest each week. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, oh well, we'll try it again next week. But that's personally my approach today of like not playing 6K range, not playing Keselowski, not playing Buescher to try and get unique lines, to try and get different. Especially like if you're in something like the Chrome Horn with nearly 40,000 lineups in there, like why would you want to goof around and compete against 17,000 of those having Keselowski in them? Let's just build different. I'm not even worry about those lines, whether they pass you or you pass them. Like, I mean, that aspect's irrelevant. Like that's just going to happen or not happen, however the race plays out. But I don't want to be part of that group. I just want to start out I just want to be completely different. That's where I'm at. Let's see. Thoughts on Stenhouse? Why are you guys like? What's up with this? What's up with all the punch? Like, would you not punch Kyle Busch? Not like we don't like Kyle Busch, but like Stenhouse did not start that conversation to punch him. Thought about it for 2 hours, decided not to because he would have just done it right off the bat. And then Kyle just kept saying, "I didn't touch you. I didn't wreck you. Like you wrecked me. Like, come on, man. Whatever." And also, like, why are you celebrating? Clearly, NASCAR is like, yeah, fuck you, fans. No fun. We're just gonna fine Stenhouse $75,000. So, like, I'm gonna support NASCAR and just say, fuck it. I don't want to hear about any of this stupid fighting because, like, who cares? But like Stenhouse, 66. As I just said, I'm not personally getting to 6K range. When you look at Stenhouse starting 23rd, pretty much right where he lines up at in terms of where he's at in these races in terms of the fastest car. You start giving him some positions from like 23rd, you start moving him up a little bit. Let's see. You give Stenhouse like 21st, pretty much good race, pretty much line up right where he's at, and that's a solid 23. Okay, you get to Stenhouse, you give him like what is that? You give Stenhouse like 19th. Oh man, creeping his way up there, top 20, and you're barely at 29 points. Okay, that's a 4.3 value. Okay, you start moving him up more, going from like 19th, like 17th or something. He's scoring right at like 33 points, right at value. Okay, so when we look at like him being at 17, he needs to be 17, like where we would envision that. Now, this is a better track for Stenhouse. We have had Stenhouse just typically run better here, but to be taking the risk of like, well, I need Stenhouse to at least be like, 13th to 17th all day, where I could just play, Shane Van Gisbergen, who's starting 36. He can get to 28th on just dumb luck. Doesn't even do anything. Like I'd much rather be in the 5K range making those types of decisions. I'll pay down, the 1100 to get the Shane. I'll pay down the 1600 to get the BJ. Like those are the plays that I'd rather go. That's the construction I'd just rather go. I don't think we need to take that unnecessary risk with like Stenhouse, of like Corey LaJoy, of like Carson Hocevar, of like Austin Cindric. I just don't think we need to do that type of stuff with these lineups. Where else are we at? Both very interesting. Get 2, 3. Yeah, no, like Dan, and I think that is a race. Like it's 400 laps, guys. If you want to look at it as like a short track as well, look at Bristol, look at Martinsville, look at these tracks that have 400 laps. Where values typically come through more often because there's so many. How many are we looking at? What are we looking at in terms of fast laps and laps led? So we have 400 laps, and we have so that is 100 laps led points and 180 fast lap points. Like we want to try and gain as much of those 280 points as possible. That's not including the place differential. That's not including what these guys are scoring right off the bat. We are trying to get as many of those 280 points as possible. Okay, realistically, probably gonna be like 240 because we lose the fast laps under yellow, but still, we want to try and get as many of those 200 plus fast laps and laps led points in your lineup as possible. Like that is what I'm prioritizing here. Okay, so like when it goes back to Keselowski, it goes back to Buescher. Yes, probably going to score high 40s, if not 50s. Okay, but when you start looking at the distribution of how this race can potentially perform, where you have guys up top scoring like might have people in hundreds, but like just roughly speaking off the top of my head, like highest guy scores like 89 points. And then we have a guy scoring like 72, 68, 69, 65, like that. Those would be like your top 5 scorers all in the 60s or 50s or whatever. And then it's like, well, yeah, why would you be chasing, 49 points from Keselowski and Buescher when we can like chase those like possibly 60, 70, 80 plus types of guys? Like that's my type of reasoning behind chasing these guys. I think if you have to build without Kyle now, he could wreck out. Or what the fuck is the point of like talking about Kyle Larson? Like that is like it's such a waste of time. Who actually gives a shit about Kyle Larson in terms of DFS? Who actually cares? He's either going to make it or he's not. Like what is going on? But yeah, so Larson, Hamlin, Truex. I still think Byron and Gibbs are also in play there. Like Bell is probably the one guy I'm probably not going to get to, as we've seen just Bell tend to struggle in these races. Now he's 95, needs 45 to pay it off, but at that point, yet again, 95 to hit value. You have Keselowski probably going to be scoring 49 to 47. Buescher, probably actually thinking about it, probably closer to like 48 to like 52 is his range. Bell is not only competing against the guys leading laps, he's competing against the place differential and background. Like I just don't see a reason why to play Bell in this race. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm completely with Daniels. Like he's pretty much lined up with what I'm thinking there. And truly, once you prioritize, let's get this off. 1, 2, 3. Like I said, I mean, even Elliott, Bowman, Chastain are all in play. I'm personally just not going to prioritize them. But like when you look at these 5 individuals, you're wanting 3 of these guys for sure. Okay. In your lineup, you're using most likely 1, if not 2 of these individual drivers. So you have 3 guys from here, 1 or 2 from here. Go ahead and grab, a Ross, a Kyle Busch, a Ryan Blaney, like those should be your last guys in. That should be like, oh, I landed on enough money to get Ross Chastain, oh, to get Kyle Busch, oh, to get Ryan Blaney. Not like, oh, I landed on like Zane Smith. Oh, I landed on Stenhouse as my last guy in. Like that's not where I want to be at all. Um, and when you look at where these guys are at, like I'm perfectly fine looking at Truex, looking at Hamlin. I mean, these guys are pretty much identical. Like, this is great fields. When we specifically look at the fall off, I mean, there's a reason why we got so much green between these Joe Gibbs boys. Same thing with Gibbs. You're looking at Gibbs practically running identical lap times to the other guys in the JGR camp. I mean, how could you not like Ty Gibbs today, man? So that's where I'm at. Why would you not play Botas? 3,200 min salary. Got it. 32. Like Logan Sargent, always min. Second cheapest guy. Botas. Whether it be Botas next week, Zhao, Magnussen. The 2 cheapest guys you always play. If they work out, they work out. If they don't, they don't. But just moving forward, Daniels, like you always play those guys in some form or fashion. Related to F1. But yeah, I mean, I think that's mainly it. I know this is pretty much way more chaotic than usual, and we're only here for like 30 minutes today. But just chase lap leaders, in my opinion. I am primarily just basing off of where these guys have fallen in line over these last couple races. If variance works out in the favor of some people, like Byron has been performing quite awful, absolutely horrific. Horrific lately, Variance is on his side. I'll have Byron. If he's not, well, those lines are dead anyway. I don't know. Like this is, I don't know. I like this slate in terms of like Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs makes it to where you could realistically have 4 lap leaders in a lineup. Why would you not chase that? It's insane. I think Ty Gibbs should be like the highest owned guy. I think he should be a priority. What does Saberson just have him out of curiosity? Let's see. He falls in line right at 30%, 35. Like I'm perfectly fine with that. Perfectly fine. Thank you, Alex. Hope I appreciate the good luck, not just for me, but anybody in TrueDFS. Do you Nick Larson today for all the? No, not at all. Like as I said, so important doesn't even matter. Larson gonna be dealing with heat stroke and everything. Doesn't matter. Where does Larson line up? Larson has been practically a top 3 car in every single race. Okay, we look at Larson. Where is he at? I'm perfectly fine with the fall off we're seeing here. This is the intermediate track. It's Larson. The only thing for me is that let's see, where do I have him in terms of I have Larson as probably the favorite to win this race. Like when I'm looking at straight favorites, it's Larson, Truex, Hamlin, Gibbs, Byron, Chastain, Reddick. Like those would be in order of like priority of who is more likely to win and compete for the win in this race. Yet again, it's 400 laps. You might be like, what if Larson goes out there because he's gonna have a fast car, lead stage 1, lead stage 2. Oh, but darn, he finishes 7th in the race. He doesn't win it. Like he's fine for DFS. Okay. Just remove the whole Indy thing. Now, unless the guy gets a concussion or some shit, or like is completely like fried, gets like, they have some wild for whatever reason they're running, alcohol in these cars again, and he has a invisible fire and he's like all burned and stuff like Jordan Anderson. Well, yeah, clearly we're not playing Larson in that situation, but I just think like the whole Indy 500 thing, like so important, doesn't matter. Where does he project in DFS? Where does he project based on where he's been in recent races? I mean, how can you not project him to be a favorite? It's him. Hamlin is right up there. Truex is right up there. Like, I'm just going to prioritize those guys, man. That's where I'm going. See what else you guys got. I mean, I think past that, just because got a really chaotic day. I got a lot of things going on. I think I'm going to end it there. Like I said, I'm sorry that this is such a one short notice stream. Two, it's not an hour long. Three, it's like an hour and a half later than normal. But if you have any questions, I can answer things in Discord later. I mean, the race starts at like 5, 6 o'clock. I'll catch up on the Discord and questions like that, within like 2 hours or something. But feel free to ask me anything there. DM me on Twitter, tweet at me, and I will get back to you when I'm not as busy today. But past that, that's how I'm approaching the Coke 600. So I'll see you guys later, and that's mainly it. So best of luck, and bye bye.